Do you have hair that grows away from your locks? If you do, I'm so sorry. But in today's video, I am going to show you, one, what it looks like, and two, what I do to fix it. Let's get to it. Welcome back to the Atreyu Locs channel. I'm Atreyu, a semi-freeformer who is dedicated to bringing you guys the best tips to grow a healthy set of locks. If this is your first time, make yourself comfortable. I am glad to have you. So let's see. I last retwisted in March. Actually, it was on March 12th, so about 6 months ago, a little bit over 6 months ago. Before that, I retwisted at my 7-year lockup date. So I went like a good 7 months without retwisting. So that means that last year I only retwisted twice. And I did not retwist at my 8-year lock anniversary, which was last month. But now, looking at my scalp, looking at my hair, I'm like, okay, I need to do a retwist. So as a freeformer, one of the things that you have to always be mindful of is whether or not you have hair that grows away from your locks, because if you do, then that means that you're going to have to watch out for potential thinning. Thinning, not at the level of the scalp, like where your hair is coming out of your scalp, but thinning in terms of the locks themselves. For someone who has hair that grows away from your locks, like me, what that means is you still have plenty of hair coming out of your scalp, but the lock itself begins to thin out because those hairs, that new growth that's coming out of your scalp, does not grow into the lock. So if you're a semi-freeformer, you need to identify whether or not you have hair that grows away from your locks. If you don't, then you're good, you're set. You can go as long as you want without retwisting. But if you do have hair that grows away from your locks, this is what you're gonna see. So as you see, there's all this hair right here that needs to be reincorporated back into the lock. The lock isn't too thin, right, because it's a thick lock, but there's all this new growth that I need to put back into the lock, or put into the lock for the first time because it's new growth, to make the lock how thick it actually should be if that hair were already in there, okay? So that's why I'm doing a retwist today. I also have, tons of marriages that I need to separate some locks, like that. I have videos showing you how to do that. But yeah, I'm going to be just giving my locks the works, giving them some TLC, reestablishing those parts, reincorporating hair back into the appropriate locks and things like that. So let me go do that, and I will check back in with you guys after I'm done, okay? See you soon. Hey, if you are enjoying this video, don't forget to smash the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you are notified every single time I upload. How about that? Alright, so I am back, and as you can see, I got that hair going back into the lock. I keep saying back into the lock as if though it was ever in the lock. I got that new growth into the lock now, and so I've reestablished the bases of those locks, and they are now in no danger of thinning out to the point of breaking off. So this is just something that, as a semi-freeformer, if you have hair that grows away from your locks, you are going to have to be on the lookout for, okay? As I said, if you have hair that grows into your locks, that new growth grows right into your locks, then you have the easiest scenario hands down, and you can just, retwist whenever you want, and I think about it otherwise, okay? But if you are like me, then you really got to pay attention to your locks, and you come with time to know your locks. You know about, okay, how long it's going to take before, you may need to do some maintenance. As I said, it's been like 6 months since my last retwist, which happened back in March of this year. And one of the things that you will also see, because you have so much new growth, is like with this one, look at that. All that big baby, all that hair right there, right? And of course I could, wrap it in or crochet hook it in or whatever, but it's not that big of a deal. To me, it gives it, a very non-uniform, semi-freeform look, which I really like. So that's kind of like going through its own little budding process, and it'll, merge into the lock with time, okay? So yeah, this is just something I wanted to make you aware of, and I know many of you guys who have already been following my videos and my channel for a while, you already know that you have to really pay attention to your locks if you're going to semi-freeform, because if you're not doing consistent maintenance, if you have hair that grows away from your locks, I know I'm saying it a lot, but it bears multiple repeats. If you have hair that grows away from your locks, then your locks can thin out. And once again, it doesn't mean that you're losing hair at the scalp. It just means that the locks themselves are getting thinner with time. But for me, I have fine hair. I have a lot of strands, but I have fine hair. And just genetically speaking, like on the top of my head, it's always been, well, maybe not always, but for a while it's been thinner. So the semi-freeform approach works best for me because since I have fine hair and it's thinner on top, see how it's like really just flat, versus like you see some lockers and they have like just a big fro up there. Like that's not me. Even when I don't do maintenance, I'll have a fro, but it's not like way up there and then the locks are shooting off from up there, right? No. So because I have fine hair and because it's thinner on top, I think that an approach where I do the least amount of maintenance possible without risking losing my locks, that being the semi-freeform journey or lifestyle, whatever you want to call it, that works best for me. Okay, so yeah, you gotta, as I always say, do what works best for you. And I hate that line so much. It's so cliche, but it's so freaking true. All right, so before I go, I'm going to go through some of your comments because it's been a while. So yeah, let's get to them. All right, so this is from Tamika Butler, and she left this comment under the Truth About Locks and Hair Growth video. She says, I have been using all of these tips since day one. Yes, there have been days of impatience with growth, but I love being semi-freeform with this journey, all of it. Very good, Tamika. That's what I like to hear. And I'm glad that, you've been on point and that you happen to have been following the tips. We're on the same page. We're in sync. Great minds, right? All right. Let's see. This comment comes from K Payne under my How to Fix Thinning Locks, Why Your Locks Become Thin video. The person says, thank you for this video. I plan to try this on my locks as I do not like to retwist often and have so much hair growing away from my locks. Very informative video. Thanks, new subscriber. Well, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to let me know that it was informative. Thank you for becoming a new subscriber. I hope you continue to enjoy the videos. And yeah, let me know how it goes if you remember, okay? I'm very confident that that you're going to be helped by that suggestion in that video. All right. Another comment under the Truth About Locks and Hair Growth video from Carol Lewis. She says, great tips, and they are always helpful. Well, thank you. Happy to hear that. I'm approaching 3 years with locks in October. Happy early congrats to your 3-year lock anniversary. I agree that having locks is a journey and not a hairstyle. Okay, slight pause. I said for me, I realized that it's more of a lifestyle journey, or in my case, I call it a quest. But I'm not negating what it is for other people. Everybody has to decide what locks are for them. And Carol, I think what you were trying to say here is that that you also see it as a journey and not just a hairstyle. And yeah, I'm glad to hear that. But yeah, I don't want anyone that may read this comment, or now if you're watching this, to hear this comment and think that I'm saying it's not a hairstyle for people. Like, you choose that for yourselves, okay? I don't want more divisiveness within the community. All right, I get so many unsolicited suggestions on how to manage my hair. Also, people tell me to let them know when I'm ready, and they will recommend a loctician. The nerve. Wow, that is some nerve, I gotta say. Well, I follow many of the tips that you suggested. Always glad to see your content. Thank you so much, Carol. When you said you get all these unsolicited suggestions on how to manage your hair, that's funny. And then when you went on to say, also people told me to let them know, stopping there, I told the story in one of my videos years ago, but I remember I was going to visit a friend, and the person lived in this complex where you had to like show your ID and say, you know, which apartment you were going to. It was like a gated community, and the person there, she saw that I had locks, and so, you know, as I've said before, a lot of women, they love, you know, doing the hair of men, especially like men with long hair, and especially if they have locks. So she was like, yeah, so here, you can take my number, and you know, let me know when you want me to do your locks for you. And I was like, oh, thank you, I don't do much maintenance, but when I do, I maintain it myself. And she was like, okay, well, like I said, just give me a call when you want me to do it, and it'll be for free. And I was just like, wow, how presumptuous. Like, no thank you. Like, she like totally just disregarded, you know, what I said about me being the only person, the sole person to maintain my locks. And she was like, yeah, I know I'm gonna be doing them. So I think, yeah, a lot of women especially just love to do dudes' hair, especially dudes with long hair, you know. So so when you said, you know, the unsolicited suggestions, and tell me to let them know when I am ready, it's like, yeah, they just disregard it, you know, what you just said. It's so funny, and it is some nerve, but people will be people, right? Anyway, I'm glad that you follow many of the tips, and I appreciate the fact that, you know, you said many of the tips and not necessarily all the tips, right? That just goes to prove that different things work for different people. And yeah, you know, I try to be conscientious about the tips that I give, but I know that they have worked for me, which is why I am offering them to you as suggestions, right? But there's no guarantee. Maybe something else works better for you, in which case you should do that something else. Always remember, you are the expert of your own set of locks, your own hair. You know better than anyone, especially some random dude on YouTube who happens to have locks and, you know, is sharing his quest, his journey with you. Okay, so good for you, Carol. All right, let's see, one more. This was left under my thinning dreadlocks 5 things you should do immediately video. It comes from Minor Twin Silver. I have 2 locks that are on the bottom corners of my head, so like they're in there, I assume. And they have somewhat weak bases. I'm scared of them not being strong. Is there anything I can do to make the base more thicker? Unfortunately, no. I mean, the only thing that you can really do is try to like ease up on the frequency of the maintenance that you do to see if you can get more hair to grow. But you know, those corners, I mean, I think that's probably for the majority of people, that hair is usually really fine and it's not as thick in that area anyway. So you know, if you're seriously worried about them breaking off or falling out, then you can try to combine them to, you know, the nearest lock on each side. Mine are, you know, thinner than other locks in other areas of my hair in those corners as well, because of the aforementioned points. But yeah, you could try just, you know, I don't know how often you do maintenance, but try to do it less frequently to see if more hair will grow. If not, then if you're seriously worried about them breaking off or falling off, then try to combine them into a nearby lock. Okay. All right, guys, that is going to be it for today's video. So you see, yeah, I've done another retwist, the first retwist in my 8-year year. And yeah, answer some questions, and yeah, now you know what to do as a semi freeformer if your locks are thinning out but you have new growth at your scalp. If you choose to love, do so unconditionally, because loving with conditions conditions the heart to not really love at all. This is Atreyu Locs, and I will see you next time. Peace.